Carnism Debunked posted this picture, and in the caption basically threw shade at anyone who was saying and is saying that voting for Democrats and Biden is in the best interest of the animals, and was saying that instead you should vote for whoever you want because, quote, no major party truly gives a shit about the animals. But he goes on to reference the fact that the Biden administration has sided with the pork and egg industry against a California animal welfare law. Now, isn't that interesting? Because a Democratic president's administration is fighting against California, a deep blue state where Democratic voters voted yes to that law on the ballot, state with a Democratic governor who's publicly stated that the state's going down the path of banning factory farms, who, in cooperation with the Democratic state legislature, banned fur and the exploitation of most animals in circuses. Because of the deeds of Democrats being thwarted by other Democrats, a vote for Democrats isn't in the best interest of animals? The clear answer is to beat Democrats in their primaries with sentientist, vegan, as well as more progressive candidates so that we can take over the Democratic Party and actually have a shot at animal liberation and sentientist political change. But that should only be limited to the Democratic primaries, because once you get into the general election, it is the better of the two evils that ought to prevail. And if you disagree with that, you are betraying sentient beings and squandering the power you have to make life better for them. They can't vote, so we must vote for them and vote correctly. Not doing so is a dereliction of the duty you have to enact change. I know you feel disaffected, and I do too, but we have to go out and vote. They want you to think you can't change anything, but if you couldn't, Republicans wouldn't be aggressively gerrymandering their districts and putting forth voter suppression laws like the one that was instated in Georgia that criminalizes giving water to people who are standing in line to vote, even though it often takes hours to get to the front. As I'll prove in this video, Democrats are empirically better for sentient beings than Republicans. Let me repeat that. If you say that Democrats and Republicans are equally bad, or that Democrats are worse for sentient beings, including those in these concentration camps, you are empirically wrong. That's why these posts are so irritating. It's the lack of a position on who you should vote for. Quote, vote for whoever the fuck you want based on specific policies that appeal to you. What Republican policy could possibly appeal to you, a vegan, enough to vote for them? Speeding up the slaughter rate of chickens from a maximum of 140 to 175 per minute, which Trump put in place, that as pro-carnism as he is, Biden reversed within his first few weeks in office, reversing a rule that required animals raised on organic farms from having their beaks and tails cut off, among other things, that Obama and Biden put in place, deploying the largest rollback of protection of a national monument in American history for mining and development. That's the home of countless sentient beings, some of which endangered in my home state of Utah, that Biden reinstated, weakening the Endangered Species Act that Biden re-strengthened. How about permitting the Keystone XL Pipeline, a spill from which would have been disastrous for sentient beings, that Biden canceled on day one, or exiting from the Paris Climate Accord that Biden rejoined on day one. I could go on and on just about the night and day difference between Trump and Biden on the environment. What is this policy position they have that could be so appealing to a vegan that it'd make any sense for them to vote for Republicans? Is it giving massive tax cuts to giant corporations like they did in 2017? Is it destroying American democracy and turning our government into a dictatorship? Or is it that you want 10-year-old girls who are raped and impregnated to have to travel all the way to another state to get an abortion? That's a reality in some states because Trump won in 2016 and appointed right-wing extremist judges to the Supreme Court who overturned Roe versus Wade, and what made that 6-3 Conservative SCOTUS majority possible was that Republican Senate Minority Leader, then Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, didn't even put Obama's Supreme Court pick up for a vote for confirmation, refusing to, because it was an election year in 2016. But then, in a stunning instance of spinelessness and hypocrisy, let Trump nominate and confirm right-wing extremist Amy Coney Barrett in the election year of 2020, after the passing of Ruth Bader Ginsburg. That wouldn't have happened if Democrats won the Senate in 2018. But Mitch McConnell will become Senate Majority Leader if Republicans win the Senate in 2022. They only have to flip one seat. The Democrats have the smallest majority possible in the Senate with 50 Democrats out of 100 senators. The only reason they're technically in the majority is because the vice president can break ties in favor of the Democrats. They don't have the votes to codify Roe due to conservative Democrats Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema. House Democrats have already passed abortion rights, and Biden also just took executive action. We need 2 more anti-filibuster pro-choice senators and a Democratic House in 2022 to protect the fundamental right to an abortion. So if you're eligible to vote in America, vote blue in 2022, possibly look towards running for office in the coming years as a Democrat, and let's take over this Democratic Party and eradicate carnism and right-wing extremist policies from the top down.